6 o'clock. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Do all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
All right, President March.
Here.
Trustee Maretka. Trustee Sluse.
Here.
Trustee Jones. Trustee Hudson.
Here.
Trustee Bowden.
Here.
And Trustee Sturba.
Here.
All right, public comments. All right. Consent agenda. The items on the consent agenda are approving the minutes of our special workshop meeting from March 28th, the minutes from our last board meeting on April 11th, our payroll and accounts payable. The payroll for 4/16/22 is for $30,669.98. Accounts payable, the general fund, $50,686.21. Business Development District Fund, $6,422.20. And the motor fuel tax fund of $32,999.75 for a total of $90,108.16. We also have liquor license renewals, Class A, Peatone American Legion, Peatone Bowl, Game On, Susie's Saloon, and the Will County Fair Association. Class D, Burkott Superfoods, Peatone Tobacco and Liquor. Class D1, Casey's General Store, Mac Circle K, RC Services and Speedway. Class E, Fire Pit, Bar and Grill, Tony's Pizza, and Del Carmen's. Class V, the Vegas Cafe. We also have renewals for the O&M license renewals for the Fire Pit, Bar and Grill, Game On, Peatone American Legion, Will County Fair Association, and Class M2 for Peatone Bowl and Del Carmen. We have commercial amplifier renewals for the Fire Pit, Peatone American Legion, Will County Fair Association, and Game On. Tobacco license renewals for Casey's General Store, RC Services, Peatone Tobacco and Liquor, Mac Circle K, and Susie's Saloon. We also have a special event permit application for Game On Bar and Grill for a pub crawl bingo fundraiser on May 7th. And also we have a one-day event permit application for a group called Folks on Spokes Bicycle Club for a bike ride that will be going through the area and through Peatone. Are there any of those items that any of the trustees would like to remove from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by trustee Sluse, second by trustee Hudson.
Roll call vote. Trustee Sluse.
Yes.
Trustee Hudson.
Yes.
Trustee, Trustee Bowden.
Yes.
And Trustee Sturba.
Yes.
Right, moving on to staff and committee reports. We're putting Aqua on there kind of as a recurring report instead of just having Angie talk during public comment. So, Angie, the floor is yours.
I have a couple updates. First, I just wanted to address our line replacement project. I know a couple, and I apologize for not being here last board meeting. I was sick, so I think a couple questions came up. So I'm going to try and address some of them right now. But with our line replacement project, that project was underway, and we really had not anticipated having so many long services. But I think a majority, I want to say like 80% of them are long services, so we're now working on we got permitting, and now we're working on getting the bond for that, so.
So a long service is one where you have to dig on one side of the street to connect the main, to connect to the main from the house on the other side of the street.
Right, well, we could bore under the road, so most of the time they would just be right at that curve there. Well, we thought most of the time, and we could bore under the road. But what happened is the main was kind of placed in the middle there of the road. So even though we could bore to the main, we still had to dig like a 4x6 piece of road out. So I think that's what was kind of causing the issues there. So there were some spots where, even if it was a long service like completely under the road, I think that might have been better. But the fact that it was in the roadway. So And had I been made aware of that, I would have totally let you guys know about that. But I think just when the contractors were contacted to do it, I don't think they realized that would have raised a red flag, so.
So we had a meeting, the administrator and I had a meeting with Angie and Tracy from Aqua, and, discussed this issue, and we'd like to, we all agreed that these projects should be discussed well beforehand, and so that we know exactly what's happening to our streets, and, that you'll be getting a bond, a
Yeah.
permit to do that in the future. Because there was concern that, we're digging up, especially on West Street, that was just done recently. So just so the board knows, we hopefully have a better handle on this going forward.
Well, for sure, and I think the intent was that we communicated fully. I don't think that we realized that we were gonna have to be digging through the middle of the road for those, so, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know you said that, you're gonna wait on more line replacement till next year. The only question I had is, are there any on the streets that we're doing this year? Do you know, or like we're doing, and Troy can tell you, but we're doing Garfield and Mill Street and then Penny Lane. I mean, are there any on those streets that you guys should?
You're doing repairs on those roads, you're saying?
Well, we're resurfacing the whole
Okay,
road.
I don't have the roads off the top of my head, but I have, I don't know did I send it to you, Amy, or no? Okay, I have a chart with all the scheduled ones.
Okay.
So I can send to you, and then we can look and see.
Yeah, that would be my only
Because I
concern.
know that is definitely not, although it's helpful to the customers, it's not ideal to, and that's honestly something that we try to avoid completely. A lot of times I'll meet with the villages, municipalities, and talk through upcoming projects, just so that we can streamline that and not have that happen, so I'll send that to you.
Why do you have to replace those service lines?
So what?
Why do you have to replace the
We
service lines?
we don't have to.
Why are
we-
you choosing to?
Yeah,
Was
no,
it-
the customer can opt not to. What it was is if a customer was having low pressure,
Okay,
we would go and inspect. And honestly, this week we've had a couple that, I don't wanna just put somebody, I think for a minute they were like, if you have low pressure, we'll do this project. I want to still send somebody out there to investigate, because sometimes it could be like a water filter, or it could be something internal, and there's no point in doing this if it's not,
so the purpose is to alleviate water pressure issues
Yep,
if you
yep,
both determine.
Yep,
that's
we're
what-
finding some of the older homes had a little bit of buildup
Mhm.
there at the curb stop, and so we were replacing that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I just don't wanna assume that, that's what the issue is, cause
Mhm.
it could be a number of things. Most likely if it's an area, older homes, and we find like a few in a row that have the low pressure, it could be the same thing, but there's some areas where like newer homes, it would be best for us to go out and inspect if it works for the customer, and make sure that's what the issue is. Any other questions on that? And then I'll stay in close communication with you throughout the rest, of the project. And I think also there was a little lapse there from when we wanted to get started to when we were able to get the materials to get started too, so.
So have you guys pulled a permit?
Get the permit, yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Are you getting started
just
back
waiting
again?
for the bond.
Oh, okay.
Engineering's getting the bond,
Okay,
so, should be next week though,
Okay.
so. Yeah.
and then are they gonna do the restoration once they get all of them done?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they'll start the restoration, they're not gonna wait till they're all done to start the restoration, we've
okay.
already started some restoration.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
we like to have the restorations going within 2 weeks, so I know sometimes if it hasn't been within that time frame, I've heard from some of you, but we like to keep that
Okay.
2-week time frame. And then, I know there was a couple concerns too with like chlorine smell, I think somebody brought up.
Yep.
So we were operating on well 3 for quite a while. That's been out of service for a bit, we're waiting for parts to fix that. We should have a new pump in May is what, parts are delayed right now, COVID. So we've been operating off, we've been operating off well 4 for a few months, probably since February. And I recall a few months back, this came up at another board meeting. The chlorine levels are well below the required, they're well within limits. They're, at the lower end of it. The reason that there's more of a smell is because at that well, there is, not as much naturally occurring ammonia, and that kind of gets that smell broke down, so that's why. Nothing's changed at all, it's just because we're using, well number 4. So, when we get that fixed, most likely, it might take a minute because it's been out of service for a bit, but that'll all dissipate.
Will you be using both wells at that time, or just go back to well 3?
Probably just well 3 and have well 4 as, well 4 as a backup.
Okay.
Most likely. I've handled a couple calls that have came in for the chlorine smell. You can have them, we'd be more than happy to explain to them. So there's been a few customers that have called and we can explain it. I might not be able to be here in 2 weeks, my plant manager will probably be here. He actually lives in Peatone and he's been talking to a couple customers as well. So we'd be more than happy to walk that through, because I know if it's something different, people are concerned and think that the levels are elevated and they're not. So. And then update on, any questions on that? Have you guys had any more?
I've heard from one other resident.
One other?
about-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. If you, like I said, if you need anybody, if you need me to reach out to anybody, just let me know. And then just an update on the tank painting. So we are looking to start the tank painting in May. We're gonna start with, most likely start with Ratchy. If not, we'll have to flip them, but that's the one we'd like to start with first. We're just working through that antenna situation. So we did find out, we've been working with the fire chief in Peatone. So I think we're working through that now. If it's too much a delay, we'll just flip it and start with the one on Lincoln and then do the one on Ratchy. But both still this year. So, in May. And I'll let you know, like, heads up too when we start doing that, obviously, because you'll see people out here and that'll be a bit of work. We are gonna start flushing, so we do that yearly flushing. So, nothing to be alarmed about. There might be some low pressure when we do the flushing that's completely natural. We will send out voicemails to everybody. We call them swift reaches, but it's just a recorded voicemail letting everybody know when we're gonna be in their area. So, we're gonna be in your, we try to cut it into like 2 or 3 different sections so not everybody gets in and is waiting for like a 3-week period. We try to let them know when the time's relevant. But we hope to start as early as next week, could be the following week, and we'll get those voicemails out. If there's any questions, give me a call. At times, people experience a little bit of a low pressure for just a brief period of time. But it's nothing alarming, no boil orders, anything like that, just.
Will they get a message, a voicemail, even if they didn't sign up online for your?
Only if they opted to get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll
Yeah.
have to sign
We
up.
can't, we're not allowed to send it unless somebody opts to do that.
Okay.
But you get it, so if you wanna post it on social media, that might be helpful,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. And I can send you the breakdown for the entire village beforehand too, if you just wanted,
Yeah,
be a
we'll
little bit
definitely
yeah,
put that up.
okay, okay. And that's all I have. Do you guys have anything else for me?
Any progress with EPA?
No updates there. Yeah, that will be first. I will mention that first. Yeah. Yeah. All right, if you have anything else, feel free to email me or call me, all right? And I'll email you the list of streets tomorrow,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to administrator report.
I don't have anything.
Engineering, Troy?
Sure, I can give you a couple updates on the projects going on. The Wilmington Road sidewalk project, they were supposed to start excavation today, but the wet weather and wet ground has slowed them down a little bit, so they're hoping to start this week, but we did not get an updated schedule yet. But that should be very soon. The Airborne storm sewer project, the delay on that one is a ComEd pole that needs to be braced or moved. They're hoping to just brace it, but it's close to the new storm sewer. And we're trying to work with ComEd, the contractor's trying to work with ComEd to determine what to do. They mentioned moving it, which we don't want that to happen because it's gonna take too long, so. If this becomes an issue with slowdown, maybe we wanna talk to the, our ComEd rep, but we'll see, hopefully we'll get something soon. So that's waiting for a schedule for the ComEd pole bracing before the contractor can start. And then the railroad street design is almost complete. We're finishing up our QA and making some design revisions. So once we have that done, we'll get it back to CN and probably just go out to bid since they were pretty much good with everything. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we can try to get that out to bid. If everything goes smooth. And then MFT streets, the resurfacing, we picked up the quantities for that, so we're gonna start working on the design and the bid documents for that.
We did, if you guys recall, we applied for a Safe Route to Schools grant for some sidewalks around the high school and elementary school. Unfortunately, we found out we did not get that this year. I directed Troy to maybe give us an estimate on doing the main sidewalk that's really not there right now is the one on Oak Street that connects Oak Street, you know, to anything. There's no sidewalk that really connects it to anywhere, so that might be a project that we might want to tackle next year and just, you know, spend our own money on it as our sidewalk project, so something to think about, so. And we can always apply in the next cycle for the rest of those sidewalks, so. Okay, any other questions for Troy? All right, the chief did not have a report. Public Works, Bob, you got anything?
Yeah. Well, Troy filled in on half my list I had here. So, yeah, back to Airborne. Yeah, they're saying that the pole needs to be possibly replaced. I don't agree with them or moved. So we'll see how that pans out. I think if they just shore it up, I think we should be able to move along with that. Yeah, same thing Troy said on Wilmington Road. The weather has not been cooperative with, seems like anything lately, to get things going. So we'll see how that pans out also. The silt fence is up, if anybody's noticed out there, for that project. Cleanup day this Saturday. We'll go around and clean up some garbage from 9 to roughly noon. Coffee, donuts. We'll meet here. I'll have maps, bags, some gloves. I'll have some gloves on hand. Hopefully everybody comes out, participates in that. The rain date is, if we don't have this cleanup day, is May 7th. Brush pickup, we're a month in roughly in brush branch pickup. It's going well. I think the rules we put in place last year, I think everybody's got it. So I know it's been slow with the weather, but it seems to be going well. So there'll be some new Hometown Hero banners next month going up. You'll notice a different design than what we had last year. So you'll see those next month. That's all I have.
I had a question about the, have you figured out the ownership of those poles right across the
Those are
street
owned by
here?
the railroad.
And can we contact them to get those taken down?
They
or-
did.
Yeah, what'd they say?
Take them down.
They told you you'd take them down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So I'll take them down.
good. And then, are you getting a quote on replacing the street light out there?
Yeah, and then they're trying to get to me on how they're gonna move forward with paying me for the damages to the streetlight.
Okay,
No, they,
so that was the railroad's pole that fell?
and hit
and
my
damaged.
streetlight,
Yeah,
correct,
okay.
yes.
All right, good. And then possibly, as long as they're replacing the street light, they're doing LED replacements on all 4 of these lights
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Since we're really not including
Trying to
these
update
in
them
the
all.
downtown
Yeah.
project?
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
perfect.
all right.
What about the fence out there? Did we figure out, is that the railroad's fence too?
That one I don't know. I think I'm gonna make it,
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Looks like it's on the same line.
yeah, okay,
Yeah. Thanks.
perfect. Any other questions for Bob? Okay. Moving on, there is a Treasury's report that our consultant did for us, Anne Marie. And I don't know if you have any questions about it, but Does everybody kind of like the new format? It kind of clearly shows where we're at, and so if anybody has any feedback on it, we can relay that to her. Okay. Not moving on to my comments. I just want to echo what Bob said. Encourage residents to come out to the village cleanup. You know, spend an hour, a couple hours just helping out, picking up garbage that's accumulated throughout the winter. So we appreciate. We'll have, like I said, coffee, donuts supplied by Cornerstone Cap Coffee House, and we've got some raffles that Aqua is supplying. So meet here at 9 o'clock, and yeah, and I don't know, the weather looks a little iffy right now, but we'll see. Still 5 days away. We'll probably make a decision by Friday if we're gonna go to the rain date. So we'll put it out on social media, one way or the other. May 11th is the tree planting with the Morton Arboretum. Meet at 8 a.m. by the library. Again, that should only just take a couple hours to do if we have enough volunteers. So hopefully residents, so we invite all residents, and hopefully some of the trustees can make that as well. Moving on to, we don't have any old business, new business. We have a Class F liquor license for RC Services. So this wasn't included in the consent agenda because this is a new license. This is a pour license so that they can eventually, she wants to put in game machines, so this would allow her to do that. So, any questions on that or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bowden, second by trustee Sturba.
Okay, roll call vote. Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
All right, moving on, to item B, ordinances. First one would be ordinance 2206, an ordinance to approve a request for a fence variation 705 Crown Lane. And we have the petitioner here. So if you would like to just kind of tell us what you're proposing and.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Nicholas Hope. We just moved into the house last October. As you can see in the picture up there, and there's some pictures going around, there's some utility and drainage easements, and then also the people behind us with the wood fence, they put the fence 2 feet behind their property line, so we can't meet that property line. And then on the other side where the beige vinyl fence is, there's a gap, so there's an exposed area. And we're just trying to get the fence installed, you know, for my family's privacy and safety. We moved here planning on having more kids and getting pets and stuff, so we feel like without the fence, we wouldn't be able to keep everyone safe back there.
So tell us kind of what you're proposing to kind of mitigate the issues
Yeah,
there.
so you see in the picture there, there's a ComEd box, and that goes right up against our property line. And then, so our proposal was to bring the fence in 10 feet to get rid of all the drain easements, utility easements, and then they'd be still able to access the ComEd box if need be. And then we'd add a gate in the back for access to the ComEd, and then access to mowing the lawn back there.
Okay. And then there's also an issue by the little wrought iron fence. You got a few
Yes.
feet up in the front there too.
Yeah,
Do you have
there's
picture of that? The wrought
that
iron.
corner has a drain over there as well, and then a Comcast utility box, and our proposal was to go, that picture doesn't really,
How's that one?
yeah, that one kind of, I have some pictures over here that better explain it, and
Yeah,
then
no.
drawing out the measurements. But behind that our Comcast box, there's also a drain back there, so we'd have to go around it a little bit, so I just proposed to come out, I believe 7 feet, and then up 6 feet to meet the back of our house property line. Just kind of like box it out a little bit.
Okay.
What kind of fence you putting in?
Vinyl privacy fence, it's
Okay.
like the beige one in the
Like the
picture,
beige
just white.
Mhm. Who's gonna maintain the area between the two fences?
I would.
You would?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a gate back there so I can go back and mow and Also, if they ever have to get into my yard, to go back to that ComEd box. The reason why I can't really put the fence straight down is because that ComEd box, the panels open up and they swing out. So if I have the fence right up against it, they'd never be able to open it up, and I don't want to have to remove a fence section if they ever have to access it.
Yeah.
And then also, the wood fence is 2 feet behind his property line, so I'd be going onto his property at that point.
So the wooden fence was placed off of the property line because when they dug the post holes for it, they hit the drainage tile that, drains to the pond, not the pond, but the drainage area back there. So our building inspector Bill told them to move it a couple feet in, so that's what, besides these lots being all, not lined up right, that's another issue that caused it, so.
Also, on the side where the wood fence meets with my neighbor's vinyl fence, there's I want to say a 3 or 4 foot gap where the fences don't even meet either.
Yeah.
So that's another issue why I want to bring our fence in, just to have a straight fence along the back property line.
Okay. Any other questions at all?
And you promise you'll mow the grass?
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, so you're gonna have 10 feet to mow, and your neighbor in the back has got 2 feet behind their fence to mow, right?
I'll even mow his lawn if I can get the fence.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you understand that's the reason why
Yeah.
we don't like parallel fences, because then it
Yeah.
just weeds and it looks terrible.
No, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it's just weird circumstances with his fence being 2 feet in, and then you have all those. There's a drainage easement in the ComEd box, and then even where that gap is on the other side, there's another ComEd or Comcast box over there too. So there's utilities all throughout the yard. So
So, do we have an ordinance written up for this, or
Yeah.
you do, with all these dimensions, the 10 feet off and all that? or-
Except for the side yard.
Yeah.
I have it for the rear yard, but not the side yard, so we would have to add that to the side, to the ordinance.
I have the measurements in the pictures over there. For you're talking about with the aluminum
Right.
iron looking fence? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you approve it with that, we can add it to the ordinance.
Okay. All right, any other questions, guys? Not, I'll entertain a motion. This would be ordinance 2206 to approve a request for a fence variation.
Motion.
Second.
And you guys are good with 10 feet off the rear property line and then whatever the little
Yeah.
Yeah.
side little thing around?
There's a couple of houses on Oak Street are the same way.
Yeah. Okay. So it's moved by trustee Sturba, second by trustee Sluse.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Sturba,
Yes.
trustee Sluse,
Yes.
trustee Bowden,
Yes.
and trustee Jones. Pardon me, Hudson.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you, everyone.
You want these back?
No,
Thank you.
I could keep those.
Oh, yeah.
Those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, next is item 2, this would be ordinance 2207. Ordinance approving request for variance of 90 square feet and 1 foot 1 inches in height for a new detached garage at 420 South 4th Street. And this was heard by the Plan Commission, and findings of facts are included in the ordinance that was in your packet. So, Mr. Sandberg, you want to have anything to add to this at all, or?
Not really.
Okay. Any questions from the board about this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by trustee Hudson, second by trustee Sturba, ordinance 2207.
All right, roll call vote, trustee Hudson,
Yes.
trustee Sturba,
Yes.
trustee Sluse,
Yes.
and trustee Bowden.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Item C, resolution to approve a debt management and fund management policy. So our financial consultant, Anne Marie, put these together for us. The first one is debt management policy. just kind of goes over, you know, what our responsibilities are when we're issuing debt. Nothing in specific, but just something that gives us some guidance when we want to do that. And this is especially important because we plan on issuing some debt to improve the road around the travel center project. The other one is a fund management policy, which is basically a fund balance policy. So it gives a, for instance, a minimum contingency balance that we want to have in our general fund, being 25% of the next year's or this year's general fund expenditure budget. So just so that you always have a rainy day fund in case you get some unexpected expenses. So just something we haven't had in the past, so it's just something good to have on record. Questions at all? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2205.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by trustee Sluse, second by trustee Bowden.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
And trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Item D, we're going to close regular session to go into an executive session for two purposes. First, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. And also item 2 will be collective negotiation matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. So I'll need a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second?
Moved by trustee Sluse, second by trustee Hudson.
Okay, roll call vote, trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
And trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Okay,
And there'll be no action taken after that. Is there any questions on the process before we do that?
none at this time, thank you.